On October 14, 2014, 28-year-old Emily Carter left her apartment to buy groceries. She never returned. Security cameras captured her wearing a gray coat and carrying a small handbag. She bought a bottle of water and some bread before walking into the rainy night. That was the last time anyone saw her. No signs of a struggle. No ransom demands. No suspicious calls. Nothing. Emily Carter had simply vanished. Police searched forests, rivers, abandoned buildings, and nearby towns. Thousands of flyers were distributed, but despite years of investigation, there were no answers. Eventually, the case went cold. Most people assumed Emily was dead. Then, exactly 10 years later, something impossible happened. A frightened and confused woman was found sitting alone at a bus stop on the outskirts of town. She claimed her name was Emily Carter. At first, officers thought she was mistaken. But fingerprints confirmed the impossible. It was her. Emily Carter had returned. Yet there was one horrifying problem. She believed she had only been gone for a few hours. To Emily, she had left for the grocery store the previous evening. To everyone else, 10 years had passed. Imagine losing an entire decade of your life. If stories like this fascinate you, subscribe to A Darker Shade of Truth, because this mystery is only beginning. Investigators immediately questioned Emily. Where had she been? Who had taken her? Why had she returned? But every answer only created more questions. Medical examinations revealed something disturbing. Emily was perfectly healthy. No injuries. No signs of captivity. Even stranger, her gray coat looked almost new. Inside her handbag was the same unopened bottle of water she had purchased 10 years earlier. And somehow, the expiration date had not yet passed. How was that possible? As news spread, theories flooded the internet. Some believed she had been kidnapped. Others believed she had suffered psychological trauma. But then investigators discovered something that changed everything. Deep in the woods near the bus stop, detectives found an abandoned cabin. Inside were dozens of old newspapers. One headline immediately caught their attention. Local woman missing for 10 years returns home. The date on the newspaper. 3 days before Emily had actually been found. The cabin contained no fingerprints. No DNA. No clues. Nothing. Who placed the newspaper there? And how did they know Emily was coming back? As investigators dug deeper, several witnesses came forward. They claimed they had seen Emily over the years in different cities. Always alone. Always confused. And every time someone tried to approach her, she vanished. Then came the most disturbing discovery of all. Emily's mother showed her old family photographs. Suddenly, Emily froze. She pointed at a man standing in the background of one picture and whispered, "He's the one who was with me." The room fell silent. No one recognized the man. No records existed. No identity. It was as if he had never existed. To this day, Emily has never recovered her memories. She still cannot explain where she was or why 10 years vanished from her life. But perhaps the most terrifying question remains unanswered. If Emily truly lost 10 years, then who was the woman witnesses claimed to have seen all across the country? And if those sightings were real, then who exactly came back? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this mystery, subscribe to A Darker Shade of Truth. Because every mystery leaves a trace, and sometimes the truth is darker than anyone could imagine. 3 weeks after the photograph was discovered, investigators received another strange tip. An elderly woman living nearly 200 miles away contacted the police. She claimed she had met Emily 5 years earlier. According to her, Emily had entered her diner late at night looking frightened and confused. The woman remembered her clearly because Emily kept asking the same question, "What year is this?" At first, she assumed Emily was joking. But when she told her the date, Emily looked genuinely terrified and suddenly left. Investigators recovered security footage from the diner. They could hardly believe what they saw. The woman in the footage looked exactly like Emily. She wore the same gray coat, carried the same handbag, and had not aged a single day. The footage was authentic. This meant one thing. Someone who looked exactly like Emily had been moving across the country for years. But how? Investigators returned to the abandoned cabin and searched beneath the floorboards. There, they found a small metal box. Inside were dozens of photographs. Pictures of Emily. Some showed her standing in unfamiliar cities. Others showed her sitting alone at bus stops. In every single photograph, she looked exactly the same. Not older. Not younger. Exactly the same. But there was another disturbing detail. The mysterious man appeared in nearly every picture. Always in the background. Watching. Waiting. His face was clearer this time. Yet facial recognition still found nothing. No records. No identity. No existence. At the bottom of the box was a folded piece of paper. On it were 6 chilling words. She must never remember what happened. No signature. No explanation. Nothing. When Emily read the note, her hands began shaking. Tears filled her eyes. Then she whispered. He said I wasn't supposed to come back. For the first time since her return, Emily seemed to remember something. Investigators questioned her immediately. Who said that? What did he mean? But Emily simply stared into space. Then she quietly said, there were others. Others. Who were they? Emily refused to say another word. That same night, security cameras outside her temporary residence captured a tall man standing across the street. Motionless. Watching the house. The footage was blurry. But investigators noticed something horrifying. The man's face appeared identical to the figure in the photographs. Police rushed to the scene. No one was there. However, on the ground where the man had been standing, officers found a newspaper. Its headline read, Woman disappears again. The article beneath it was blank. The date, tomorrow. Emily vanished later that same night. No signs of forced entry. The doors were locked. The windows remained secured. She was simply gone. Again. On the bedside table, investigators found one final message written in shaky handwriting. I remember now. He said no one ever truly comes back. Emily Carter was never seen again. The mysterious man was never identified. And investigators still have no explanation for where Emily spent those missing 10 years. Or whether the woman who returned was ever truly Emily at all. If you've made it this far, let me know your theory in the comments. Who was the mysterious man? Who were the others? And what happened during those lost 10 years? Because sometimes, the most terrifying mysteries are the ones that leave us with no answers. Years passed after Emily's second disappearance. The case was eventually reassigned to Detective Daniel Reeves, the same investigator who had worked on it from the beginning. Unlike everyone else, he refused to believe anything supernatural had happened. He believed there had to be an explanation. 11 months later, he finally found one. While re-examining an old family photograph, Daniel noticed something strange. The mysterious man wasn't looking at the camera. He was staring directly at Emily's necklace. Investigators searched Emily's old belongings and discovered an identical necklace hidden inside her childhood bedroom. But it wasn't ordinary. Inside was a tiny compartment containing a memory card. The files on it changed everything. There were hundreds of videos. The first recording showed Emily herself. She looked terrified. If you're watching this, then I probably failed. Emily explained that years earlier she had joined a private research organization that claimed to study memory and human consciousness. But the truth was far darker. They were secretly experimenting on people, trying to erase and rewrite memories. The mysterious man was identified as Dr. Adrian Vale, a neuroscientist who had officially died 12 years earlier. When Emily discovered the truth, she tried to expose them. So they silenced her. Instead of killing her, they used her as a test subject. For 10 years, Emily had been moved from place to place while repeatedly having her memories erased. The sightings across the country were real. Every time she started remembering, they relocated her and erased her memories again. The unopened bottle of water. The nearly new coat. The confusion. It all finally made sense. Then came the final recording. Emily looked exhausted. Tears filled her eyes. If I ever come back, I may not remember any of this. But promise me you won't let them continue. They can erase my memories, but they can't erase the truth. The recording ended. Within weeks, authorities launched a massive investigation. Secret facilities were discovered. Multiple victims were identified. Several powerful individuals were arrested. But Dr. Adrian Vale had disappeared. He was never found. Months later, police raided one final facility hidden deep within the mountains. Inside, they found Emily. Alive. Weak. But alive. For the first time in over 10 years, she remembered everything. Every experiment. Every city. Every erased memory. The mystery had finally been solved. A year later, Emily stood beside her parents outside their home. For the first time in a decade, she truly felt like herself again. She looked at Detective Reeves and quietly said, "Do you know what frightened me the most? It wasn't losing 10 years of my life. It was realizing how close I came to forgetting the people I loved." After years of pain and unanswered questions, Emily finally got her life back. The organization was destroyed. The truth was finally revealed. But one question still remains. How many other victims never remembered? And how many are still out there? Because sometimes, the darkest truths are hidden not in monsters or ghosts, but in ordinary people.